Draymond Green has returned from his indefinite suspension after punching Yusuf Nurkic, and he has also returned to his podcast where he did a hour-long solo discussion with himself, talking about his recent suspension, what he's been dealing with over the last few weeks, and in doing so, created a few interesting headlines, including him saying that Adam Silver talked him out of retirement. Let's go ahead and just play this clip here real fast, and then we will discuss my kind of thoughts on it afterwards.
I had a conversation with Adam Silver, commissioner of our league. I just told him, Adam, it's too much for me. Like, this is too much. It's all becoming too much for me. And I'm going to retire. And Adam said, you're making a very rash decision. And I won't let you do that. You know, we had a long, great conversation, very helpful to me. Very thankful to play in a league with a commissioner like Adam, who's more about helping you than hurting you, or helping you than punishing you, or, you know, he's more about the players.
So there you have it there. Just to the point there about Adam Silver before we get into the kind of the big headline there. Adam Silver does very much care about the players. He wants to help the players as much as possible. And if anything, it's to a detriment to him because the whole John Morant fiasco that happened last year where it was like he's suspended, but is he getting help? And then it's like he comes back and then basically does the same thing. I think that was very much an example of why the NBA, like, really, you could make the argument, kind of really dropped the hammer when they punished him for this season. And I think it was because they felt like they were very much disrespected from John. They wanted to send him a message, basically drop the hammer. So that's basically to the point on that. Adam Silver does, in a way, too. You could even make an argument he's too soft on the players versus David Stern, who was maybe too harsh on the players a lot of times. Now, getting to the Draymond Green retirement thing, do I believe that him and Adam Silver had that conversation? Do I believe that Draymond Green maybe thought like, you know what, maybe I just like give all this up and retire? Yes, I do think that. What do I think the likelihood though is that he would actually retire if you put it in like a percentage? Probably less than 3%. A few reasons because of that. One, he just signed a contract in the offseason to pay him like I think over 100 million or something, and I think it goes until like 2027. I'd like to say it's like it was a 4-year extension, I believe. So one, he's not going to walk away from that money, and two, he still does have some NBA basketball in him left, and I think he can be a productive player in the NBA. Now, it might have been a thing too where this is where I would help him out a little bit, where um, maybe it would be a Gronk thing where like you remember the Gronk story where the Patriots were gonna trade him to the Lions, and Gronk was like, "Yeah, if you do that, I'm just gonna retire. If you trade me to the Lions, I'll retire. I don't want to play there. I want to play in New England." And then they ended up keeping him. So maybe that's like the Draymond thing here too, where it was like, um, he was like basically the Warriors came to him and it was like, "Hey man, like we love you, but like you've been doing this stuff for a while, and in a way." It almost could have cost them a playoff series last year. They ended up beating the Kings, but he did get suspended for a game in the playoffs last year. We all know about the LeBron sack tack. Um, and then like this year too, like him even getting suspended for these 12 games, or I can't remember how much the first one after the Gobert choking was, but for the amount of games he's missed this year, you can make the argument that's hurt their team in a lot of ways. And I think the Warriors were just in a way like fed up with it. And we are like, hey, well, there's probably some teams that would want your services, and we were willing to trade you. So that might be part of it. Um, with that being said, too, also I just want to add this more point before I move on to the next topic. The internet had a lot of fun with that retirement comment, where a lot of people were saying like, "So you're mad that the NBA is saying you have to stop punching and choking and sack tapping dudes and kicking people, and because they're saying you have to stop that, you're going to retire." I just thought there's been a lot of funny jokes just kind of talking about that. Um, and kind of alluding to a conversation too that he had with Steve Kerr, which he talked about in the podcast, where it was a long emotional conversation, and Steve Kerr said something along the lines of like, "Hey, I don't want it to end this way." And was Steve Kerr talking about retirement? Was he talking about the Warriors dynasty? Or was he talking about, kind of to my point earlier about the trade, did the Warriors just kind of go to Draymond and be like, "Hey, man, if you don't, get your act together and stop, doing these antics and stuff, we're gonna trade your ass. We're done with you. Like we're just tired of this. It's been annoying. It's basically just causing a lot of distractions. Like you punched a teammate last year. Like you got to get it together a little bit." And I did, in fairness too, I didn't listen to like the last 10 minutes of that podcast, but I listened to like 75 to like 80% of that podcast. It was basically just a lot of rambling about basically Draymond's time over the last few months, or not few months, few weeks. I mean, he does kind of share some personal things, but he also kind of like is very vague in a lot of the things that he says, where and also too, I think he has like a weird view of this stuff too. And kind of like the bigger question is here after the suspension is, all right, you had the suspension, you've been told this stuff, you've had conversations with the commissioner, you've had conversations with your head coach, probably with the Warriors front office and ownership. And we know it probably wasn't the first time this time of him, having to basically kind of defend his actions in a way, or basically address his actions in a way. The question is, did this work and is he going to stop? And with that being said, to answer that question, I don't think so. I think it might stop for a little bit, but I do think that is eventually going to unravel in this stuff. Now, he did say one thing, and I'm surprised I haven't seen anyone really kind of tear this part apart from the thing that he said in the podcast, where he said at one point he said in there he was like, I apologize for my actions to Youssef, and I even said it in the time how I apologize for that stuff. He said he was sorry for hitting Youssef, but he didn't like necessarily apologize for the act, and he didn't even seem that sincere. He, in the moment, the referees were kicking him out of the game, and he's like, "What did I do? What did I do?" He was in the post game, and he's like, "I was just trying to sell a foul call." And it was like, "No, dude, you just flat out punched him. You like formed your hand into a fist, and you punched him." Um, and if you listen to that, now again, I maybe I misheard it. Maybe I was not paying the best attention. I was doing it on like walks with my dog when I was at the grocery store listening to this. So maybe there's a part of this where I missed. But when Draymond Green was basically apologizing for his actions and his antics, he did say he can play without antics. He did say that. I remember him specifically saying that. But a thing that kind of stuck out to me when he was apologizing for this stuff, he was apologizing that he embarrassed um like his coaches, his players, the Warriors, the fans. He also said his wife and his kids and his family. But he never said I'm sorry that I embarrassed myself. He never actually said that. He never was like, I embarrassed myself and I feel ashamed that I act this way. So what that tells me is that he really doesn't feel that sincere for doing this stuff. And he does still, in a way, maybe thinks that like he has to do this stuff, even though he understands the concept of like, hey, if I do this stuff, it's going to basically punish me a lot more. Does that mean he will, one day, maybe soon, understand that like, hey, I need to control myself in a different way, and maybe that's something he is going to work on. He did say he's going to work on it. Um, yeah, that is possible, but I don't know, guys. I think if you're a guy that's in the league that's been doing this stuff for like the LeBron sack tap thing, the Steven Adams punting of the nuts was like 7-8 years ago at this point, maybe even 9 years ago at this point. And he's still been doing this stuff, and in a lot of ways he's just been like escalating his behavior and basically targeting random Euro bigs in the NBA to do these things against. So I don't know, guys. I want to believe him. I want Draymond to be a successful basketball player. I want him to be successful on the Warriors, but do we think his action is he really changed after this, or not necessarily changed, but on the process of changing? And maybe not even changing but evolving. I don't know. So let me know in the comments if you think if we're going to see a new sort of Draymond after this. Is it going to affect his play at all? Are people going to try and rile him up so that maybe he can go over the edge a little bit with his intensity and maybe hurt his team again by getting suspended again, whether that be in the playoffs, whether that be something in the regular season. That'll be remain to be seen. That's going to do it for this video here today. Thank you very much for watching. My name is James Williams, if I didn't say it off the top. Been doing this podcast now for a few years now. We're just starting now to put clips like this onto YouTube. So if you like this clip and you like stories like this that are similar, I kind of react to different stories. I talk about NBA, NFL, college basketball, college football. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like this video. Hit that like button if you like this video, and feel free to explore the Sports Detective podcast channel on YouTube to explore more fun videos that I've posted. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next.